friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss about Nissim Ezekial and his poetic contributions. So, Nissim Ezekial. Nissim Ezekial was a Jewish poet, playwright, actor, editor, etc. He is a versatile genius. He was from Mumbai and he belongs to a Mumbai Jewish community known as Ben Israel. Ben Israel means Marathi speaking Jewish community who was settled in Mumbai. And because of his native uh, country is India and also his place is Mumbai, he is known as a poet of the city. He wrote many poems about Mumbai and about the life of Mumbai and about events happened in his life. That's why he is known as the poet of the city. So Nissim Ezekiel is from a well-educated family. His father was a professor of botany at Wilson College and his mother was also a teacher and she was a principal in a school of her own in Mumbai. And because of this family background, from childhood days onwards, Nissim Ezekiel is well versed with literature. Though he was an actor, editor, or playwright, he mainly focused on writing poems and he was also considered as the father of modern Indian poetry. His first collection is published in 1952 and its name is Bad Day. And another collection, A Time to Change, also appeared in 1952. It is also considered as one of his first collections. Another important volume which he was written in 1960 is The Unfinished Man, where he wrote many famous poems. And another important poetic collection is The Exact Name, which he was published in 1965. One thing you have to note is that his first book is The Bad Day and the first poetic collection is Time to Change. Both these works are published, or this collection, one is book and other is poetic collection. Both these are published in 1952. He is also the co-founder of the literary monthly Jumbo, which is published in 1961. His poems are very famous, and the main peculiarity of his poems are his poems are written in simple language and it is understandable to all the persons, uh, whether it is a school student or a college student or a normal reader. It can be understood by all. That is the main peculiarity of his poems. Another peculiarity is Indianness in his poetry. In most of his poems, we can see a kind of Indian life settings, Indian uh, attitudes in his poems. We can see that most of his poems are prescribed to the school and college students in their textbooks or syllabus. He won Padma Shri Award in 1988 and for one of his collections called For Later Day Saints, he won Sahitya Academy Award. Sahitya Academy Award was won in 1983 and after that he won Padma Shri also. His poems such as Night of the Scorpion, The Professor, then Poet Lover, Birdwatcher, Later Day Saints, Healers, Background Casually, Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa Tears, Poem of Separation, Marriage. These poems are all famous. He wrote a sonnet also, its name is Warning. Now about his poems. First one is an important poem which is an autobiographical poem too. Its name is Background Casually. And in this poem, he tells us about his experience he faced in his boyhood, adult time, and also in his old age. And the poem is in a third person narrative, and we can see what are the things a Jew or a person from other community which is not a part of India suffers in our country. Main theme of this poem is identity crisis. Poet belongs to Jewish community, so he feels a kind of identity crisis in India. This poem is divided into three sections. In first section, he discussed about his childhood and the things he suffered in his childhood as a Jew. And the second session, he tells us about his adult age, and third session about old age. As I said earlier, this poem is a third person narrative. In the first session, he talks about his experience as a boy in a Roman Catholic school in India. There he got ill treatment from his friends or other students of other communities. It includes Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and all community except Jew, because there is only a Jew boy in that school, and that is Nissim Ezekial. Boys always accuse him of the murder of Christ. When he won a prize from that school, a boy from other community beat him for that. Then always other boys ridicule him for his use of language and wrong pronunciation, and also for his accent. So as a child or as a student in a school, he suffered a lot, and he describes these experiences in the first session of this poem. In the second session, he tells us about his adult age experience, his desire for studying in England, but his father was financially poor, so his friend helped him. And all these experiences are described in the second section of the poem. Then he tells us about his experience with a woman, then his experience in a ship, then about his marriage, then about writing poetry, etc. And also, he tells us that three things are his friends at that time. First one is poetry, second one is poverty, and third one is philosophy. And in the third section of this poem, he tells us about his experience as an old person. Then his thoughts that writing a poetry is not safe at that time, especially for an outsider. So, identity crisis at that time too, he felt or he experienced identity crisis, and he describes that poetry is not safe because words can harm a person. And at last, he describes us about how through his poems he became a part of India. Very important terms like a mugging Jew among the wolves, poet rascal down, etc. are the terms he used in this poem. And if you had time, please read this beautiful poem. It gives us more information about Nissim Ezekial as a poet, as a student, as a boy, like that. Second poem I am going to discuss you is Night of the Scorpion. This poem is so famous, and we studied it in our school times, then in our college times, because this poem is so simple and also so famous. In this poem, we can see how poet describes mother's love so simply and beautifully. So he narrates an incident of his mother. She was stung by a scorpion one night, and in that night it was raining heavily, and peasants, his father, and all the people are rushed to her to give her medicine. Some are of the superstitious belief, but his father is a man of progressive thought, so he made an attempt to lose her pain. So that is the main theme of this particular poem. Poet tells us about the attempts made by peasants to relieve the pain, and about the superstitious beliefs, then reaction of his father. Actually, his father is a rationalist, and his reaction, then the things he done to relieve the pain, etc. This particular poem is published in his poetic collection called Exact Name, which was published in 1965. And the last line of this poem is very famous, and the line is as follows: My mother only said, "Thank God the scorpion picked on me and spared my children." So, through these lines, we can see a mother's love towards her children. It is a very beautiful poem. Selfless love of a mother can be seen through this poem. Another beautiful and important poem is Poet, Lover, Birdwatcher. Through this poem, he tells us that different methods a poet should adopt to achieve success in his career. He compares poet with a lover and a birdwatcher. He tells us that the best poet always waits for words. So if anyone wants success, they have to wait till the right time. Through his satirical poem Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa T.S., he ridicules the errors committed by semi-educated Indians in speaking or writing the English language. This poem starts with the lines, "Friends, our sister is departing for foreign in 2-3 days and we are meeting today to wish her bon voyage." So the poem starts in a casual tone. This is a satirical poem, and Ezekiel tried to satirize people who use a special type of registrant style for speaking English when English is their second language. And also, he satirizes the people who lack public speaking. Ezekiel also wrote a poem which is highly philosophical, allegorical, and pessimistic. That poem's name is Enterprise. He reflects a highly philosophical theme through this poem. The theme of this poem is a group of people who undertake a journey. Actually, this journey is a pilgrimage, and at first they started this journey with high hope, and later their hope began to diminish, and in the end, after failures and frustrations, they reached the destination, but they are not satisfied. This poem is allegorical. At the same time, it contains the elements of optimism and also pessimism. Then we can see through this poem Ezekiel as a philosophical poet. The main message of this poem is that this type of pilgrimages are not a worthy undertaking. Living at home will give us inner satisfaction, and that inner satisfaction is greatest of all achievements. I earlier mentioned you that he is known as the poet of the city. Why? Because he wrote many poems about Bombay city. Here are two poems which reflect the theme Bombay city is a morning walk and also urban. Morning Walk is a poem which he describes about the negative side of Bombay, and he describes Mumbai or Bombay by describing it as a barbaric city with slums, with deprived of seasons, blessed with rains, full of hawkers, beggars, and also it is a busy street or busy city. And in the poem Urban, he tells us about the urban sensibility and also a city dweller's reaction about nature. Both these poems reflects his thoughts about Bombay. Through his another poem, The Truth About the Floods, he tells us about what is real India. A real India or our real India is full of or contains all type of people. Frightened virgins, slum dwellers, beggars, hawkers, and all these consist of India. And he gives us remarkable imagery and perception of Indian situation through this poem. So these are some important poems of Nissim Ezekial. I tried to give you a short summary about these poems, and if you want separate poem wise summary or line by line summary, please do comment in the comment section and I will try to upload it in my next videos. And please like, share and subscribe and support me. Thank you so much.